All right, so this is part 2 of Pythagorean Theorem. So this is where we're going to take it up a notch and make it just a little bit more difficult. So the easiest thing to do with Pythagorean Theorem is to find C. But now we're not going to find C. We're going to find A or B. Once again, A and B interchangeable, but we're going to show you how this is. So we're going to put together algebra, we're going to put together square roots, a little bit of geometry. We're mixing it all together to solve these problems, but it's still a lot of fun. So I'm going to start with this one. We have a triangle. Let's call it a right triangle. You know it's a right triangle because that box is in the corner, right? So we have one side that we don't know, one side that is 6 centimeters, and one side that is 10 centimeters. So we want to find the side that we don't know. First thing we have to do is figure out what sides are A, B, and C. So across from my right angle, my hypotenuse, I know that 10 is C. So I know that this one is my C side. What about A or B? So I'm going to call this A and I'm going to call this one B. It does not matter which one you call which, but I'm going to call this one A, this one B, and that one C. So let's get started. We don't know what A is, so I'm going to keep that variable as x squared. We're going to substitute 6 in for B, so that becomes 6 squared. And we know that C is 10, so that's going to be 10 squared. So now we're going to just do a little bit of math. 6 squared is 36. 10 squared is 100. But we still don't know what x is, so we're just going to bring it down to the next level. So now I have an equation. X squared plus 36 equals 100. My goal is always to get x by itself, so I'm going to do the inverse operation. The inverse of plus 36 is minus 36. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. A plus 36 and a minus 36 cancel each other out. So now I have x squared equals 64. I want x by itself, so I have to do the inverse of something squared. And the inverse of anything squared is square root. So if I take the square root of this side, squares and square roots cancel each other out. That just gives me x. If I take the square root of this side, x is going to equal 8. So what this means is, in this triangle, if C is 10 centimeters and B is 6 centimeters, then this missing side must be 8 centimeters. All right, once again, we're going to take it up a notch. All right, so on this triangle here, one side is 13, one side is 7, and we don't know what this missing side is. So first thing we have to do, we have to identify A, B, and C. We know that this is going to be our C. How do we know that? Because it's across from the right angle. Whatever is across from the right angle is our C side. So now, what side is A, what side is B? Remember I said it doesn't really matter. This time I'm going to call our unknown the B side and our 7 is the A side. So first thing I always do is write my equation. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? That formula tells you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm about to use the Pythagorean Theorem. A, I'm going to substitute 7. B, we don't know, so I'm going to leave it as x. And C is 13. And here's why we memorize those perfect squares. 7 squared is 49 plus x squared, and 13 squared is 169. See, having that memorized makes it go so much faster. We need to get x by itself, so what we're going to do is subtract 49 from both sides. The opposite of having a 49 here is taking a 49 away. So I'm going to subtract 49 from this side, subtract 49 from this side. That's going to cancel out, and I'm going to have x squared equals 120. Now, same thing I did before, I want x by itself, so I'm going to use the inverse operation. The inverse operation of something squared is a square root, but 120, not a perfect square. So now I have that x is equal to the square root of 120. I could leave my answer like this It doesn't really tell me about how long this is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to approximate my square root. That's my approximately sign. Approximate. I'm going to approximate my square root, and I'm going to say, what perfect square is 120 closest to? It's close to 121. The square root of 121 is 11, so that means that this number here is really, really close to 11. So what I'm going to say is x is approximately 11. So approximately, it's not equal. You know, we're rolling with the homies like Cher. So we are going to say it is approximately 11 meters. Not exactly, but that gives us a good idea of about how long this side would be. Approximately 11 meters. All right, so that is part 2 of Pythagorean Theorem. When you're looking for B or A, when you have answers that are not perfect squares. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully you still find it a little bit fun. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you click that post notifications bell right below so that you can be the first